create and use buffers in ArcGIS online. And along the way, I hope you pick up a couple of extra handy tricks too. For this example, I've opened a layer of bus stops in Ripley, Queensland. Funny enough, there wasn't an existing data set available, so we created our own layer by dropping pins. What we want to explore is whether there are enough bus stops for people to catch to and from school or work. We found a paper online that stated that on average, Australians are willing to walk 400 metres to a bus stop and 800 metres to a train station. We wanted to see how this would play out in Ripley. So firstly, I need to change my base map to imagery. I go to the left-hand side, 4 buttons down, click on base maps, wait for them to load, and click imagery. Once I've got my imagery, I can start my analysis. I go to the right side. The analysis tool almost looks like a little traffic cone. Click on the analysis, click on tools, and all the analysis tools then are available to us to use. There are plenty of tools and they're all fabulous and well worth your time to experiment with. Today we're going to use proximity. The use proximity tools allow us to have a look at the relationship of objects to each other, how far they are away from each other, how close they are to each other, and which things are near each other and which things are further away, thus turning your map into data. So we click on buffers. For our input layer, we're going to choose our points that we have just dropped, which would be our bus stop points. We scroll down, we keep value. For our distance values, we're going to add 400 for our 400 meters and click add. We're going to change kilometers to meters. We want to keep it as overlap because where our buffers overlap, our people obviously have more than one choice for a bus stop. We've got to give our output name. It usually needs to be something that you are happy to have shown on your report later. I'm going to call mine bus stop buffers. And once I'm happy with everything, I am going to run. It takes a while to run, so I'm going to pause and then restart after my layer has loaded. Ta-da! We have our first set of buffers. We can zoom in and have a look at all the areas that do not have access to a bus stop if these Australians in Ripley are part of the group that only want to walk 400 meters to a bus stop. Let's add our 800 meter extent to this and see how that works. I will then go back to my tools. It's still open on the right hand side. I go and delete the 400, add in 800 meters, add it. Have a look, my meters, my overlap. I'm going to call this bus stop buffers 800 and run. Once again, it's going to take a while to run, so I will pause the video now and come back once my layer has been loaded. You can see that my 800 meter layer has now been loaded. However, everything is the same color, everything is overlapping, and we are unsure of what we're actually looking at. Right now, I'm going to close the right-hand panel, and I am now going back to the left-hand side to click on my layers. In layers, you will see that we have our bus stop layer that we started with, our 400 meter layer, and our 800 meter layer. I'm going to click on the 800 meter layer because I'd like to change the color of that layer. Once I've clicked on 800 meters, the properties open and I am able to go and edit the layer style. I wait a while it's loading, move to style options, click on the pen, and go and choose a new color once everything has loaded. I'm going to choose red. I'm going to keep the outline a different color just because the buffers are overlapping, and it is easier to see each single buffer if the outline is a different color to the fill. I then say done, and I now have my beautiful 800 meter red layer, and unfortunately my blue 400 meter layer I can't see anymore. Now this is where those handy tips come in. On the left hand side, on your layers, you will see that they've got this handlebar. I call it a handlebar in class. If you click on your handlebar and you move your layers, you can reorder the way they are going to appear on the map. They follow the order from top to bottom. So the layer right on top in the panel will be the layer right on top on the map. You are able to make new maps every time you move these layers around, or you can even just close and open the eyes to make new maps to be used. Let's add the rail network to this map to see whether the people in the Ripley community who do not have access to the bus network, if they have access to the rail network. So we click on plus, we go to browse layers, we go to ArcGIS Online, type in Queensland Train or Queensland Rail, go down to where we see Queensland Rail Network and click add. Let's hope there we go. It loaded much more quickly. I'm going to close this because I don't want to style it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my base maps and I'm going to look for the light gray canvas. When we open the light gray canvas, we can see that the rail network does not extend to Ripley, and therefore the people in Ripley, or the average Australian in Ripley who would rather walk 400 meters to a bus stop or 800 meters to a train station, does not have access to public transport.